All right. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. And welcome to Possessing the Land with yours truly, Pastor Avery Sanders, your real estate pastor. So glad to have you here with us on tonight. Do me a favor and share on tonight. Coming to you live from Facebook Live and YouTube Live. And also, we are also coming to you by our listening audience here at WESL Radio, which we meet every Monday at 3 p.m. Those of you that are on Facebook, please come on in and let's share tonight. We have a very special guest that's going to be with us tonight, Mr. Dion Fields from Cadence Bank, and he's here to share some things, some great information, and we want to run up the numbers. We want to pack it out. And those of you that are watching, if you're from the church, if you're from wherever platform you're from, come on, let's tag someone, let's share on tonight, and let someone know that we have some exciting information for you on tonight. As always, we open up with a word of prayer. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for your goodness, mercy, and grace. If it had not been for you, where would we be? We ask you, Lord, now to bless us, oh God, as we possess the land. You've given us the land. Now, God, help us to possess it. Help us to give us strategies on how to get what we need that you've already given us. In the name of Jesus, we thank you. We give you praise. In Jesus' name, we pray. Amen. Isaiah 53:5, he was wounded for my transgressions, bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement of our peace was upon him, and with his stripes we are healed. So God bless you tonight. Amen. We're possessing the land tonight with yours truly, Pastor Avery Sanders. And listen, we do all things real estate here. We're talking about ways that we can fix our credit to qualify for mortgages. We're here sharing nuggets on how we can get to the bank. And sometimes we have myths and things that hold us back, and we think that it's all about certain things, and some of those things hold us back, and we're unable to move forward because we think we need more of this, more of that. But I'm telling you, we want to bring information to you, education to you, to help you to possess what God has already given us. So many things we're going to be talking about. We talk about how to buy and sell not only residential property but commercial property. We talk to pastors on how to get. We had some commercial lenders here not too long ago, and how we can get you qualified. And on tonight, we have Dion Fields here from Cadence Bank. And before he come, I'd just like for some more of you to kind of share on tonight, asking everyone that's listening to share with someone, tag a friend, let them know, hey, we're online tonight. I'm going to tag someone, and I hope you can tag someone that's on tonight because we need others to come on. So we're grateful for each of you that are here tonight. I'm going to say this before he comes. It's always a good time to buy real estate. The real estate market, yes, there's not as many houses per se in the inventory, but there are houses available, and there are buyers and there are sellers. So people are buying and selling. I remember this winter when we had the big snowstorm, I was skating down the street in South St. Louis showing a house. So people do not stop. They want their homes. They want to find the best home. Listen, in St. Louis, just get ready because the weather can change. It gets good, it gets bad, it gets good, it gets bad. So listen, if you want to buy a house, listen, start now. You don't have to wait till you feel like you have an 800 credit score, 1,000 credit score, whatever that is. But start now. The worst thing that anyone can say, any loan officer can say, is you not now. We want to help you, but you got one or two things that we need you to do. So listen, let's possess the land. Let's get ready to do and receive. You never know. I had a lady tell me that she said to me, I want to rent a house. I said, have you thought about buying a home? Oh, no, I don't think I would qualify. I said, well, you never know till you try. And I believe Dion Fields that's getting ready to come on now. I believe Dion was the lender for her. and we were able to get her done, and Dion did a few deals for us. So, hey Tina, good to see you tonight. Thank you for joining. Please share on tonight. So glad to have you. So you just never know what you can qualify for, but you got to try. So on tonight, I'm going to bring to the stage. He's already in the background. I'm going to bring him to the stage, and he's going to tell us who he is, his many titles, and present. And we're going to move forward at this time. So let's bring him up now. All right, there he is. Good evening, Mr. Fields. Dion, good evening to you. And good to have you tonight. And you might want to just start off by just telling us who you are and a little bit about yourself tonight.
Okay. Well, my name is Dion Fields, and the bank that I work for is Cadence Bank. I have a few hats. What I do at Cadence Bank is I do originate loans, and I also am the division manager. I cover Missouri and Arkansas, and I'm also a pastor as well.
All right. So we have a few things in common. We both are in the mortgage and real estate business and the banking business, and we are shepherding the flock. So we got good company tonight. So glad to have you, Dion. I appreciate your time. How long have you, if you don't mind telling us, how long have you been in this field?
Well, believe it or not, I know I look so young. I've been in the business for 26 years.
Oh.
Yeah, how I got in the business, a gentleman walked up to me and said, "Hey, you look like you can do this." I came from the restaurant business. I was a restaurant manager. So I got in, they trained me, and all she wrote.
All right. Sounds good. And I appreciate that. So, and you know, it's important in this business to, it's good when you can meet different people, having different backgrounds, and you never know who you're going to meet that's going to help your business and help you. You may have the key to help some of my customers. So I think I'm very grateful to meet you, and definitely we've gotten through some difficult deals. But Cadence and you have made it seamless. So if you don't mind, tell us how mortgage business banking is going in the respect. Is it a good time to buy? I know I say it's always good to buy real estate. It's always a good time, but how do you feel about how mortgages are going, interest rates, things like that? You can give us some nuggets tonight.
Well, one of the things I want to say is that when you looking at that, you got the only alternative is renting, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so when we look at rent prices right now, 95% of the rent prices that we're seeing is higher than the actual mortgage payment. So,
True.
you know, when you're renting a house, you have no benefit. There's nothing you're paying towards. You're not building any equity. You're not building any wealth. When you're buying a house, guess what? All those payments that you make, part of that goes towards equity, and your house will also appreciate. So, you know, at this point in time, it's a great time to buy. Even if rates are a little bit higher, it's a great time to buy, because the fact that you're going to pay that payment anyway, and why not own it, right? You
Right.
know, instead of renting and paying somebody else's mortgage, pay your own, and you can get a cheaper payment in most cases.
And you bring up a good point about rental prices, because I had a lady I was talking to, and she was living in a part of town. She said, "Oh, I'm kind of upset because they went up on my rent." And I said, "Well, how much did they go up?" She said, "Well, a couple of $100." I said, "What is the payment?" And she was telling me around $1,200, $1,300. I said, "Really, for your area?" 2-bedroom is going to be $1,200 or $1,300 almost any area now.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been working with some investors, especially Section 8. Even those prices have shot up. Most average rental prices are in the 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, depending on if it's 2 or 3 bedrooms in the area. So very good point. I totally agree. So you're saying, hey, you might as well, you know, it's a good time because rental rates are going up. Yeah. And they are up. So So talk to us too, Dion, about a credit a little bit. I guess scores. So we have such a phobia with credit, and a lot of people really scared to kind of pull the trigger when it comes to getting their credit looked at. Do you have any things that we can use or things that can help us, like acceptable scores? And things like down payment. If I have more money down, is there any flexibility with that?
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah. So, one of the things about credit is credit is very temporary. And what I mean by that is that things that are on your credit report is only for a period of time, right? And
right.
so a lot of times people look at credit, they're kind of afraid to relook at their credit because they don't know what's on there. And so one of the myths that we tell people, let's figure it out and see kind of where your credit are, because it may not be as bad as you think. Some things stay on the credit report for 5 to 7 years. Some things stay on the credit report for 10 to 11 years. So if there's things that are on there that are old, they might have already fell off, right? And
Right.
and so and a lot of times we'll get a car note. We really don't necessarily think about, oh, that car note is really helping our credit score. We don't
Mhm.
think about that, or we have a credit card and we don't really think about that. And a lot of times what we're seeing people surprised when they get that credit score back, because it's a lot higher than what they thought.
Mhm.
So the best thing to do is to check out your credit with the lender, like myself, and to see what the scores are and where you're at. Because what a good lender would do is we'll kind of get things rolling for you and kind of help you get prepared for the next steps. In terms of like the down payment, okay, we
Mhm.
try to do the 100% financing, but in some cases where we can't do 100% financing, you can do a little bit 3.5% down. And if some cases where the credit scores are lower than 600, you can do a loan with 10% down. So if you have money, and a lot of people don't even think about working their job for a few years, they got money in their 401k, they never really even thought about they could even use that for a down payment.
Mhm.
Your 401k in most cases will allow you to use that money for a down payment. So I would suggest looking into that, and again, talking to a good lender, a good real estate agent, and getting plugged into the things that you need to be plugged in so you can buy a home. But there's so many ways that you can accomplish this goal, whether your credit's perfect or not so perfect.
Right. Right. So it's a win-win for those of you that are watching. It's I heard you say it's time to get in touch with a lender. Let them give you an assessment. Sometimes we just don't know. Sometimes some things are acceptable for some lenders, some are not. But you never know until you try.
Correct.
So that's some good news, because if you got money, that's some good news. If you don't have as much money, there still might be a program for you at 100%. I know I've had some clients that went with Dion, and they received 100% loan, and they were very happy to know they didn't have to come up with a down payment at that time. Now that may not be everybody, but there are some considerations, some situations where you may not have to come up with any down payment. So that's awesome. Um, so that's good to know. And those of you just joining, this is Avery, your real estate pastor, coming to you live, Facebook Live, YouTube Live. Please share on tonight. Also, we're live WSL. Thank you for joining. Shout out to Chuck Spearman. Hey, so good to have you on tonight, and glad to be with you on this afternoon if you're with WESL Radio. So we're here with Dion Fields with Cadence Bank, and he's sharing with us how we can what we can do to get approved, some nuggets that we need to think about, maybe a few myths that we can bust up tonight, and try to get everybody on the road to home ownership. So any tips that you have? I know that this is not maybe your area so much, but you do see a lot of credit reports. Is there any tips you can give us on tonight to lead to better credit? Some things that we can do. And one thing I know, we can pay our bills on time,
Right.
right?
Right. Yeah, so there's a lot of things that we can do, just small things. So like if you have credit cards, maybe keep your credit card balance under 30% of the high credit limit. That's a big deal there, because what happens is the credit report looks at you and they say, hey, if you got $1,000 high credit balance and you owe $999.99, they look at you as a risk to file bankruptcy soon. So having that balance lower will actually put you at a better risk of having a higher credit score. Just making sure you establish some credit. There are some credit booster programs that even our bank have that we can help you with if you wanted to do that. A lot of times, some communities, they don't like having a lot of credit, but we have to have something to stabilize a credit score. Today's society tell you that credit defines your character. And I don't necessarily believe that. But what I do know is that a lot of people who don't know about credit just lived in a household or a community that haven't been taught credit. And a lot of people back in the day when I first got into the business, we didn't have credit scores, right? We just looked at your pay history and we made a decision based on that. But I believe credit scores is kind of a game. You got to play the game. And it doesn't mean that you have less character than anyone else. It just simply means that you need to understand how to do this. So we'll walk you through that whole process. If it's extensive, we'll pair you with people that can help you with your credit. But yeah, our answer is, even if we can't help you now, it's like not a no, but a delayed yes. And that's kind of how we look at that.
I like that. That's a delayed. Everybody hear that? It's a delayed yes.
Yes, sir.
You got a yes coming, just not yet.
And Avery, one of the things I just want to say is that 100% program that we have, it's pretty cool because you don't need any credit scores to do that. So if your income's under the 80% medium income, which is around 82,000 for the St. Louis area, okay, you can have no credit score, and we can take your rent and your electric bill, and we can show good pay on that and get you approved for a loan. So, if you don't have any credit, that could be good for you in this case.
So even you that don't have credit, there is a way that we can help you. And that's a way that Cadence and Dion can help you on tonight. So keep that in mind. Sometimes we just count ourselves out. We don't feel like we can get qualified. But tonight we're talking all things real estate, and we're giving you some nuggets on what to think about. This is a real lender. This is a real bank that we're talking to tonight. Dion is a real lender tonight, and he can help solve the myths of financing. So jumping in a little bit more with financing tonight, sometimes we have issues with job time, part-time job. I got 2 full-time jobs. I got a full-time and a part-time, and I'm trying to use all of this income. Can you share a little bit about the importance of a job and how a job time relates to qualifying for your mortgage?
So one of the unique things about the loan is they want to make sure you have the ability to pay the loan back. Okay. And the key component of outside of credit is having the income to send the payments in. So what the bank looks for is stable income. Okay. And there's a number of ways to get to stable income. Let's just say, and I had a guy, he had every fast food job up and down Page Avenue. And in a period of 8 months, he probably had 8 jobs. Well, that's not necessarily job stability. Okay. The bank looks for a 2-year history for job stability. Doesn't mean you have to be at the same job for 2 years, but they look for 2 years. So let me just give you a picture of what that looks like. Okay. So if you say you've been on your job for 1.5 years and the job you've been before has been 2 years, that's acceptable. Right. But the example I gave a little earlier, that's not acceptable because that's not considered stable income. If you have a part-time job, we can use that if you've been on the job at least 2 years. If you have 2 full-time jobs, you have to have a history of working 2 jobs for 2 years. And that could be full-time job, part-time job. They have to have a history of working 2 jobs for 2 years. You can use all of that income. Now, a lot of people, what they'll do is if they feel like they don't make enough money, they'll go and they'll get a part-time job right before they apply with the lender. That won't work because you have to have the 2-year history.
That's very important. So the key component is 2-year history.
Correct.
So everybody understand, it's sometimes You know, we live in a time where people don't always stay on jobs long, but if you can be stable, as he mentioned, not a job every month, you know, job here 1 month, 2 month, 3 month. But I've been in the same line of work. But the key thing that he mentioned was, even though you're in the same line of work, you have an unstable work history. So it's good to, and if it's in question, I was going to say it's good to stay on some jobs a little time. But if you have any questions about it, that's why we put in our applications to the lender and say, hey, or we put in our questions and say, hey, this is my situation. This is my scenario. What do you think? You know, it's no harm to call me your realtor, call Dion your lender. And by the way, tonight, those of you that want to reach out to me, and at the end here, we're going to give you also Dion's number to reach out to get pre-approved. But if you want to call me, it's 314-526-9437. You can email me at asanders2419@gmail.com, asanderssales@gmail.com as well. So, and before we get off the line, we're going to ask Dion for his information and how you can reach and get in touch with him. So we're talking all things real estate. Again, those of you who are watching and listening by WSL, thank you for joining. Don't move yet. And we're also here Facebook Live and YouTube Live. So thank you for joining. Everyone that's here now, stop. Don't scroll no more. Stay right there. But do me a favor and share on tonight. So we talked about credit. We talked about, jobs. If I'm approved, when I'm approved, what are some of the do's and don'ts? Because you see a lot of things, and I try as a realtor, I try to help people as well, even though I don't dip into the finance side, but I try to tell them, hey, when you get pre-approved, it's not time to get, real loosey-goosey. It's time to really, really live a boring life, but maybe you can help us out with that too. What are some do's, maybe some do's and some don'ts after you may issue like a pre-approval to a client or customer?
Yeah, I think this is a very important topic because a lot of times people just are so excited about getting pre-approved for their home loan. They go out and start doing some. So some of the first things that we see people do is they'll go buy a house full of furniture. And in some cases, that furniture could be for your apartment, because what we'll have to use is now we have to use those payments, and you may not qualify with those payments, right?
Wow.
So that's one of the things. You don't want to open up any new credit while you're going through the process, right? You don't want to open up credit cards or anything like that. You don't want to add any debt to you, because we're going to have to add that debt to your qualifications. And once we pre-approve you, we could be looking at numbers one way, but when you go and change that, then what happens is now we got to go back and add, and hopefully you qualify with the new payments. So my word of advice: when you're buying a house, shut it down. No new cars, no nothing. Just don't buy anything until you close.
Shut it down. We ought to tag that somewhere. Put it in the chat. Shut it down. If you're watching, put that in the chat. Shut it down. Because we don't want to obtain more debt. And then Dion said, you know what? You were approved for $250,000, but you didn't bought this Cadillac. So hold off on your Cadillac. Hold off on your furniture until we get you in the house, get past closing, get past funding. We want everybody to be funded. And then, we can look at more house. Now, you believe it or not, Dion, and I think we had a customer like this, but, I had a customer that was pre-approved. We actually was under contract, and they said, you know what? We really need a car. I said, let me tell you something. If you can just hold on, if you can hold on to what you have for a little while, and they really did need a car, but it's so important to try to keep everything to, like you said, shut it down, because all of that's going to count against your debt. So we want to, so with that, when we talk about shutting it down and all of that, let me ask a quick question. Do you pull credit before closing again? Is there another pool?
Typically, no. Our credit report's good for 90 days, right?
Okay.
So if we pull it, we get it into contract, or we close before 90 days, then we're good. Now, what we do, we may not pull another credit report, but we do have a creditor monitoring system to
Oh,
show if your credit is being pulled or ran by a different organization or
okay.
lender. And then once we do that and we see that and something comes up showing, hey, you just opened up a credit card, then we have to explain that away on what happened with this credit card you just opened. So, but there is a service that monitors your credit, but we don't re-pull it unless we go over 90 days.
Gotcha. So it's another reason why you should shut it down, because even though they may not pull it, there is a monitoring. We're watching you. We're watching you.
We
Don't.
got eyes on you.
Yeah, because a lot of times I'll tell you, it's so easy because you'll go into. I was with my daughter the other day in Old Navy, and they told her at the register, "Hey, you're pre-approved," and I said, "Hey, watch it, watch it, don't fall for it." And she was like, no," and so she used some discipline, because a lot of those sales and things they offer you can get another 20% off, but you got to use some restrictions. So, but this is great tonight. I think this is some good information. I want to thank everybody for joining. Those of you that are with us tonight. Tanika Williams, thank you for joining. Amen. I can't see everybody. If you have a question, want to put those in the chat. Hopefully, like Tina is in the chat. Put your questions in the chat. We may be able to answer your question tonight, and maybe a simple question that we can ask Dion while he's here. That will help all of us. So we heard some do's and don'ts. We heard about credit pool qualifications, buying a job, when we have a job, what kind of jobs, the stability that is needed. What about special programs, Dion? Anything you can share with us that Cadence Bank is doing? I know some things you share with me, but maybe someone watching, may want to hear about different things that Cadence Bank is specializing in right now that maybe we don't all know about.
Yeah, I would like to say Cadence Bank is the king of the down payment assistance, right? We do a lot of that, and we use a lot of the traditional down payment assistance programs. We use our local government MHDC program, but we also have our own products too. Okay, so one of the things we do, we have 200%. Well, we have actually 400% programs. So let's talk about two for right now. We have 200% programs, and the beauty about it, you can have either a 640 credit score or no credit, and there's no private mortgage insurance. So you might ask me, what is private mortgage insurance, right? What is that? Private mortgage insurance is what you pay on a loan that you borrow over 80% loan to value, and it benefits the bank, not you. And it ensures that if you default, then they'll pay up to 80% towards covering the defaulted amount, right? So the banks require that, right? But we have our programs don't have that. You don't have to necessarily have that. And you have to have $500 of your own money in the deal. And so that's pretty cool. And so what these programs are designed for, they're designed to help people in the low to moderate space or minority majority space, which are census tracts, right, to become home ownership, right? And so what we believe is that we have a system where if you paid your rent on time and you got something else you paid on time for 24 months, we believe you're probably going to pay us. And we're probably 97, 98% positive rating on all of these mortgages. We're over actually $1 billion in finances for our 100% product. So, so we really want to get the product out because we vetted it. We know people who have a proven track record, not necessarily credit scores, but other things that they have paid will pay their mortgage. And so that's kind of one of the things we look at.
Awesome. That is something definitely to consider. Hey, Dion, before we get too far down the road and cut off from one of these platforms, can you give us the best way to reach you?
Sure. Well, you always can reach me through Avery. He's a great realtor. He does a great and fantastic job with all of his customers. But my name again is Dion Fields with Cadence Bank, and you can call me on my cell phone at 314-440-6421. You can also text too. I'm a texter, so you can text too as well, or call.
All right, I'm putting it in the chat. Those of you just heard me heard him as 314-440-6421. Call or text. And he also said you can also contact me because I want to talk to you as well. And I'm going to get you set up with Dion, and we're going to do the whole deal with you. So those of you that are on WESL Radio, I want to thank you for joining. And remember, this is the season. This is the time to possess the land. Thank you so much. And those of you watching me now with Facebook Live, we're still live with you right now. And we're with Dion Fields with Cadence Bank. And are there any, I'm looking for questions. Maybe there's some questions here. Any questions that we can ask you, please feel free to put those in the chat. I'm just checking right now. Tina is on. Tina, did you have a question? There's some more folks on Avery Sanders' page. You might have a question. This might be a good time to ask those questions. So, we talked about a lot of things, pulling credit, doing things. What about investment property, Dion? Just a few more questions. So some may be on here and say, hey, I already have a primary mortgage. I already know, things like that. And I already have my home, but I want to get into a little bit of investing. Is that something that you can help us with?
Yes, sir. We do investment loans.
Mm-hmm.
The down payment requirement is between 20 and 25% down.
Mm-hmm.
You can also buy duplexes, triplexes, and 4 families, right? And so you can get into that space and get some investment properties. Also, I'm going to just throw this out here too. You can buy a 4-family flat and live in one of the units and rent the other 3 at a very low down payment, 3 to 5% down. So that just FYI, if you're looking to maybe have the rent cover your mortgage payments, you absolutely can do that. But 20 to 25% down, that's all that's required. And we do all the work. I mean, we're a direct lender. We don't sell off the loan or anything like that. So it's pretty simple, pretty sweet.
Nice. So it's always nice to be able to have an option to buy once you have your primary home. But you really hit something, that house hack that people don't understand. You don't just have to buy a single family home. Even with FHA, you can get you can buy a home and they consider four units or less as residential. So you can have a duplex. I always say this, and when I'm on, I say buy a duplex and rent. Especially if you're single or you're a married couple, small family, you can get you a duplex and then rent the other side out. It's not a bad deal, and that you become an investor. But 25% down, it's pretty typical. But hey, you got the investment. It's a good time to do it. You have a nice property and it's generating income. So consider real estate when sometimes we have a little extra money, settlements, insurance, things that we got. Consider investing in property. So there are a few questions. Thank you for joining, Yali Newsom. Crystal Sanders, thank you for joining. Shanae Bogan. So there is a question, 2 questions. Crystal Sanders, what are ways to boost your credit score? And I know we talked a little bit about that. Did you have a response?
Yeah, I mean, it just really depends on the circumstances. Some people probably need a few more trade lines to boost it up. Some people may need to pay down credit cards to 30%. And some people just need time. I mean, so it really depends on the situation. In order to answer that question, I would tell you generally, if you're going from a person who has, I would say, challenges on their credit report,
right,
and they want to boost that up, I think the thing we have to do is reestablish those things and look at the credit report in detail to see if we can. The word is not dispute, but the word is to do the guidelines and make sure that if something's over 5 or 7 years old and it's still on there, we get that removed. So, you might want to contact us for that because it's really more detailed than it's not a one pony show. it depends on the situation, and we can walk you through it and get you the help you need to do that. We do have some credit report companies that we use that are nonprofits that are free, or we can walk you through some of the stuff as well.
Nice. So it's always good to reach out if in doubt. And I say this often: reach out. You can reach out to me, reach out to Dion, and ask those tough questions when you're in doubt. But there's always ways to boost those scores. Miss Bogan, Shanae Bogan. Now, your second question, I think I can answer that, but it says, second, with pre-approval letters, can you use that for 2 properties? I don't think once you get a pre-approval letter for 1 property, you can use it for a second one. What is your thoughts?
It depends on how you got pre-approved.
Okay.
So that would be 2 different applications. So one will probably be, if you bought 2 investment properties, we have to get you 2 different pre-approvals. If I've pre-approved people who wanted a single family home and an investment property, and we did both of those, and they bought them at the same time. So it really depends, but you can't use the same letter for 2 properties.
Right. You cannot use and I think that might have been her question. Yeah, you can't use the same letter for 2 properties. So you need 2 different letters. But the other question was, what if you are pre-approved and you pay off a debt? Can that raise up your credit score and raise your pre-approved letter?
So it won't raise your credit score immediately. It can raise your credit score. It typically takes about 30 days for that to update, but it can absolutely raise your amount that you're trying to get pre-approved for.
Yeah. And that might take a little bit as well, wouldn't it, to show up on the credit?
No, we just need an updated statement showing the balance is paid off, and we just exclude it.
Gotcha. So you would exclude that debt and then an updated statement, and then Cadence Bank would, or Dion will, exclude it. So, yeah. So that's good. That's good. Those are good questions. Thank you for any other questions. Thank you for joining us, Juanita Andrews. God bless you. Thank you for joining. Jeanette Whitaker, thank you for joining. So glad to have you. Jeanette, you're on all the time, so thank you for joining. I was looking for my other friend. Usually is on YouTube, but he's not on tonight. So thanks for joining. So Dion, I guess this might be my final question to you tonight. Why should we use Cadence Bank?
Why should we use Cadence Bank? That's a great question, and that's just a good question for any lender. So when you're selecting a lender, I have 2 different things that I do. I have Dion the lender, and I have Cousin Dion. Okay. Cousin Dion's going to tell you everything you need to know without putting Cousin Dion in prison, right? Because I don't like stripes, right? The lender Dion will act in a way where we're going to go ahead and approve and process your loan. The reason why you need Cousin Dion in your life when you're looking at a transaction like that is you need someone to guide you and say, hey, we may not want to necessarily do it this way. Let's try this way. And then in all of that whole process, you want to make sure that you're comfortable with that person, because a lot of times people hold back information that is critical. And, Cousin Dion want to know what those issues are so we can try to navigate through them. Now, if you tell me you robbed a bank for your down payment money, I would say that's probably not a good topic for Cousin Dion, okay? But if you tell me that you have money on the mattress and that you need to figure out how to use that money, of course, Cousin Dion can tell you the ways to be able to pull that money from your home into the bank so we can verify those funds.
Awesome. So it's nice to know Cousin Dion and Dion.
Right. You got to have both of them in your back pocket.
Yes, sir. And I think I know both of them.
That's right. You do.
So glad. So this has been awesome. And I appreciate it. I know I had a lot more questions, but my sister is on, Pamela Evans. Thank you for joining, Pamela. She said, thank you, cousin.
Tell her no problem.
and I'm sending Pam, if she wants to come there. I'm sending some people. Let me tell you something. If you're listening to me now, listen, the only person stopping you from being pre-approved is you. You have to take the band-aids off. You got to pull that trigger and say, hey, listen, I'm going to see what I can do. And, Dion I've sent them people. Sometimes we can get them done. Sometimes it's, like he said, it's a delayed yes. It's a delayed yes. And we go back to the table and figure out a way to get you pre-approved, removing collections or getting that score up a little bit higher. It may be something very simple we all can work on, but you'll never know until you try. So I want you to reach out to me, Avery Sanders, 314-526-9437. Dion Fields, his number is 314-440-6421. And he's a good person. He's a good man to deal with. He's also a pastor. And I'm a pastor. So, we're going to do our best to not only do what is right and professional, but we're going to do what we feel. Sometimes we can say things in our spirit. I've prayed over people in their deals. I had a woman who I've said this before, she was putting in offer after offer. And it was that time where it was 10 offers on one house, that kind of thing. And we were putting those offers and we get beat out by 5,000 or 3,000 or sometimes 10,000, But the Lord had me he said, you need to pray for her. I went over and prayed for her and she agreed, and boom, in week to 10 days, we had an accepted contract on a house in St. Peter's. So, it was a difficult market, but many times, who you deal with also helps in, possessing your land. So we want you to reach out to us because we're going to help you get to the next level. There's a lot of experience. Dion has been in the business over 26 years now. And that's an awesome thing. I always tell people I'm not just a real estate agent, but I own property. I'm a landlord. I own property myself, so understand the struggles. I help people get rental property. I help people get rental houses themselves, first-time home buyers, you name it. So reach out to us, and let's get the ball started. Let's get everything rolling. I don't see any other questions tonight. But I really appreciate you, Dion, coming on tonight. Yes, and you just stepped it up just a little bit higher for us tonight. So, and I'm praying for you in your ministry. Dion is starting his church, and I believe God is going to do great things for him, and already starting doing great things for you, your family, and your church. So, anything else you like to say before we?
I just want to say, don't let your fear stop you from purchasing a home, right? And you have two guys here who's going to put you in a no judgment zone. It's all about getting you to the next level. So with that in mind, call us no matter where you are. We can figure it out, put you on a plan. And it may not be today, it may not be tomorrow, but you know what? If we get you on a plan, we can get you there.
Awesome. Thank you again, Dion. I appreciate that. And thank you again. We'll have you back on again very soon. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
All right. And listen, this has been Pastor Avery Sanders. And remember, this is your time. This is your time to possess the land. And nothing is going to happen until you move forward. Take that first step and move forward and watch God, amen, help you to possess your land. The time is now. And yes, it is time now to move forward. So yes, I'm talking to you that are on today. Come on, let's take that step, move forward. See me on every Monday at 7 p.m. Be right here, Facebook Live, YouTube Live, WSL Radio at 3 p.m. every Monday. And remember, it's time for you to possess the land. Take care. God bless you. We'll see you again. you.